In today's chess video, we'll analyze a historic game between Stepan Levitsky playing as white and Frank Marshall playing as black. This game, famously known as the gold coins game, earned its name due to the belief that spectators showered gold coins after Marshall's final move. Let's delve into the game's moves and pivotal moments. Levitsky initiates with d4, and Marshall responds with e6. Levitsky seizes control of the center with e4, and Marshall transposes into the French defense by playing d5. Levitsky defends the e4 pawn by advancing knight c3. Marshall surprises with an unusual move, pawn to c5, showcasing his reputation for opening tricks and gambits. Levitsky remains unfazed and proceeds with knight f3. Knight c6 follows, and Levitsky captures the pawn, prompting Marshall to recapture. Levitsky develops his bishop to e2, preparing to castle. While a more aggressive move like bishop b5, pinning the knight, was available, Levitsky opts for the conservative bishop e2. Marshall continues his development by moving his knight. Levitsky castles kingside as expected, and Marshall prepares to castle by playing bishop e7. Levitsky attacks the knight with bishop g5, and Marshall successfully castles kingside. Finally, Levitsky decides to capture a pawn. The black d-pawn is threatened, and Marshall defends it with bishop e6. Levitsky centralizes his knight, and Marshall responds by capturing the pawn with his bishop. Levitsky, perhaps making a suboptimal move, captures the bishop with his knight, allowing Marshall to recapture with the pawn. This grants black two powerful central pawns and opens up the file for a kingside rook attack. Following this, Levitsky goes for bishop g4, targeting the e6 pawn. Due to the pin on the knight, Marshall cannot capture with it. Instead, he chooses queen d6, removing the pin and defending the pawn. Levitsky retreats his bishop to h3, saving it from potential threats. Marshall activates his rook by placing it on e8. Levitsky connects his rooks with queen d2. Marshall plays bishop b4, pinning the knight and threatening knight e4, which could lead to dangerous attacks. Levitsky decides to capture the knight, and black recaptures with the rook. White brings his other rook into the game, and Marshall intensifies the pressure on the knight by playing queen c5. Levitsky employs a tactical idea, starting with queen e2. Black captures with the bishop, and white responds with pawn takes, followed by queen takes. Temporarily sacrificing a pawn, Levitsky regains it on the next move by capturing with his rook. Black refrains from taking the rook to avoid the impending checkmate in a few moves. Instead, Marshall chooses knight d4, attacking the queen. At this critical juncture, Levitsky makes a blunder. The best move would have been queen e4, maintaining pressure on the vital e6 square and attacking the knight. However, Levitsky plays queen h5, attacking the rook. This allows black to double up the rooks on the f-file, putting white's rook in a precarious situation. Levitsky rescues his rook by moving it to e5. Marshall had an opportunity to capture on f2 due to white's back rank vulnerabilities. However, he decides to play rook h6, attacking the queen. Queen g4 is not a viable option for white, as it would result in a losing sequence of moves. In this critical position, Levitsky played queen g5 instead of choosing queen g4, which would have resulted in losing his active rook. Marshall responded by taking the bishop, realizing that capturing with the pawn would allow a family fork with knight f3, winning the white queen. Levitsky then attempted to create counterplay by attacking the black queen with rook c5. However, Marshall unleashed a remarkable move that earned this game the title of American Beauty. He played queen to g3, a stunning move that reportedly caused spectators to shower gold coins on the board. This move proved to be the final blow, leading Levitsky to resign. Let's examine why this move was so powerful. Despite having several options, none of White's moves would work. Black had a strong threat of checkmate with Queen h2, forcing White to find a solution. Taking the queen with the h-pawn would lead to immediate checkmate with knight e2. Similarly, capturing with the f-pawn would result in a forced checkmate as well. If White attempted to free up squares for the king to escape, such as with rook b1 or f4, it would still lead to checkmate. Even trying to attack the black queen with moves like queen e5 would be futile. Black could respond with knight f3 check, forcing the king to h1, followed by rook h2 checkmate. If White took the black queen with his own queen, knight e2 check would follow, and after the king moves to h1, it would still lead to checkmate. Lastly, let's consider the scenario where White chooses to capture the queen. In this case, the subsequent sequence of moves unfolds as follows: knight e2 delivers a check, forcing the white king to relocate to h1, and subsequently, the knight seizes the opportunity to capture the queen, delivering another check. Taking with the h-pawn is not possible, and taking with the f-pawn would result in checkmate. Ultimately, White would have to move the king, but Black would play knight e2 check, forcing the king to h1 once again. Then, Black could save his rook, leaving him with an extra piece and a winning advantage. In summary, Marshall's move Queen g3 was a breathtaking move that sealed his victory in this game. Levitsky had no viable options to counter the impending checkmate threats, leading to his resignation. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more engaging chess content. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care and peace.